In South Korea, Sun Ki-young is history. The Olympic Games and Asian Games always end with a marathon, because that's what Olympic history is all about. The history of the Olympics is the marathon, and Sun is a proud Korean, even though she won under a Japanese name and nationality. His companion, Nam Sung-ryong, who finished third, is lesser known, but the fact remains that he is a very important athlete in South Korea. Since then, the marathon hasn't seen the same glory, with Wang Young-jo winning in Barcelona and Lee Bong-ju taking silver in Atlanta. But the sport hasn't been the same since. There's an athlete we've forgotten about here, and that's Seo Yun-bak. Actually, I had heard of him before, but I had forgotten about him. I remember he won the Boston Marathon, which I didn't know about because it wasn't an Olympic race. But after watching the movie 1947 Boston, I realized how meaningful it was. The Olympics is probably the most meaningful marathon, but it's the Olympics. As far as marathons go, I think Boston is the most prestigious. The first Boston was held in 1897 to commemorate the first Athenian modern Olympic Games, which began in 1896. The 117th edition in 2013 saw a bombing. 4 hours after the race started, a bomb went off, killing 3 people and injuring 180 others. That's how iconic the Boston Marathon is. It's gotten so big that there's even a qualification for runners to participate in it, and that's exactly what Yoon-bak Seo did. It wasn't just that she won the race. At the time of his participation, South Korea was not yet recognized as an official country. It was a refugee country, so even if they wanted to compete in the Olympics, they couldn't because of that. 1947 Boston is a movie about their journey to the Games. Sun Ki-young, Nam Sung-ryong, and Seo Yun-bak participated together. Sun Ki-young was the director. Nam Sung-ryong was the coach and player, and Seo Yun-bak played himself and won first place. Sun Ki-young was played by Ha Young-woo, and Nam Sung-ryong was played by Bae Sung-woo. Seo Yun-bak was played by Im Ji-won, and Bae Sung-woo was a bit controversial because he's in a situation where he can't act because of a DUI, so it was controversial to have Bae Sung-woo in a situation like that. After thinking about it, director Kong Kong-kyu decided to keep it all. When I saw the movie, I realized that it was impossible to edit it. That's because the movie was already shot before the incident. After the coronavirus, many Korean movies were delayed, and this movie was one of them. Since Bae Sung-woo plays Nam Sung-ryong, it was impossible to edit it. Also, it was difficult because the director was worried about it. But it was a movie that actually happened, which means that Nam Sung-ryong is more important than Bae Sung-woo. Also, the marathon in Boston would have been filmed already, so there was no way. It was not filmed in Boston, but in Australia. I was a little bit surprised that they showed the process of going to Boston and then the City of America. And so on, because obviously Korean technology is amazing now. After the liberation of Korea, Sun Ki-young had her family in North Korea and she was supposed to have won a gold medal as a Japanese. So she spent her time drinking because she was discouraged by this. In Korea, she is a hero regardless, so there is a Sun Ki-young marathon. Nam Sung-ryong is trying to train younger people, but he wanted her to participate. He convinces her that Nam Sung-ryong should go to Boston, so that his juniors can compete under the Korean flag, otherwise they will become a nameless country. Of course, she is convinced and starts training her juniors in earnest. Seo Yun-bak has to earn money because his mother is sick, but he has a talent for running. Even after practicing and having our own competitions, Seo Yun-bak was the most talented. The problem is that it's not easy to get to Boston. I can't go just because I want to. In the U.S., South Korea is a refugee country right now, so they don't accept just anyone. There's a possibility that you come to the U.S. and don't go back. You have to have a guarantee, and you have to have money. It's a lot of money for an individual, but it's not a lot of money for the country. No one in the country was interested, and even in the movie, they were negative about the idea of spending that kind of money on running. Sun Ki-young didn't give up, and she even had a running ceremony to publicize it. We made a clear statement that we were going to go. It was a very difficult process, and I felt sorry for her as I watched her struggle through it, and it's the same when I go to Boston. We're still not recognized as a country, so there's a lot of heartache. We finally get to run the marathon, and it's pretty moving to see him compete. It depends on how you look at it, but it's pretty moving. Seo Yun Bak, a guy from South Korea who nobody even cared about. Who would have thought that a guy with no name would win? Like cookies after a movie, they show you life afterwards. I hope they all lived long and happy lives in Korea.